For this project, we're going to work on this exercise tube hanger, and three views are given here with the isometric view. And notice the front view we will create first. For that, we will start with this piece, one extrude on XY plane. Let's just begin working on new sketch on XY plane. And I will start with a circle, snap to the origin and approximate locations, click another point for in response to diameter, and we start the line tool and begin from the 270 degrees quadrant, connect to that south quadrant, so to speak, and then we draw this shape. Don't be concerned being exact, just to create the shape, something proportion to what we have right now. And of course, we're going to come back and add relations and dimensions. Let's check the handout sheet, see what we have here. We have a 4 inches diameter of the cylinder, the outside circle here. And also we do have the location from the center to the end, 5. And also we have 2 in this case. So with those dimensions, 5 and 4 and 2, we should be able to constrain this piece. So let's go back to drawing. Add in the dimension 4, or 5 rather. For the diameter, and 2 for this line. Okay, I do have 1 dimension needed, and I do have need for 1 constraint here. As you see, this is intersecting. We need to have a tangent relations. And Inventor does pretty good job on giving you the very quick tangencies there between line and the circle. This is a flat surface, intersects with the rounded surface. You want to have smooth transition there. So now we have this. You could trim this one to have 1 close profile, or you can have 2 separate profiles, which in this case you have to, of course, when you go to extrude, you would select both of them. And this is the key thing here, that you make sure that you go to both directions. And thickness for this, double check that. If you notice the thickness on this one, we are doing the small one here, 0.75. 0.75 for the directions, total directions, which divides in half in both directions equally. So this way I have selected this symmetric and 0.75 and accept. Okay. So now we have this shape. So if I repeat this process, so we have 2 ways of doing that, either on this face or in the back face. In that case, you have to go different dimension in both. Each direction is different dimensions. But if I pick the same plane that I started from, which was y plane, xy plane, right click on the XY plane and start a new sketch. Again, I'm repeating the same size circle, connecting the origin, and picking another point a little bit larger than initial one, so I can add dimensions to that, which would be 4. Now that circle is not visible because it's shaded and it's there in the middle exactly. So you can also, if you want to see that, you can always check with the view, visual style, and switch to the wireframe. You can see that circle exists there. And then we go back to the 3D model. Of course, we finish the sketch and go to the extrude again. And this time we're going to select both directions again. This time is larger dimension. I believe is 1.5. 1.5. Let's go back, double check that, make sure this is the dimension that we are adding 1.5. So that's takes care of that part. Now let me go back to the shade again. As you see, the wireframe is not easy to view correctly. That's go back to the view, change back the visual style to shaded with edges. Okay, so now we have those is created, and the next step I'm going to do here is to select this face as a new work plane, new sketch, and using the 2 points rectangle again, snap to the lower corner and pick another point, this approximate location, and add dimension on between two lines to be exactly what's supposed to be. I believe is 1 inch, and that should be it says 1 dimension needed. Most likely is free on the upper portion. Let me go back to check the dimension one more to make sure that we have this 1 inch. And okay, the reason for that 1 dimension most likely did not, I did snap to this corner, but I didn't snap to any corner here because I picked a point here. So most likely this is free to move. If I'm press escape key, get out of dimensions, and press the left key, and then you see that it's free to move. So if I constrain that, I should be okay. So how we can constrain that? We can add dimension to it if we want, or try to do coincident between the point and point here. That should fix as well, because now those are connected exactly. It's connected exactly. So that's what makes it fully constrained. Now, if you notice here that we have this situation, if I go back to the measurement here, do some calculation, you will see the dimension I'm measuring is from this face to the center. That's what my goal is, to get to this piece, this rectangle, not to go to the end, because that's a rounded shape. So that will be much easier to come back, add that, rather than trying to subtract this feature here to make that rounded. So I'm going to make this a rectangle. So we need to go through, do some calculation and figure out what is the dimension from here to here. If you notice, it's the 3 inches, and radius of this one is 1. That would gives you 1 minus 3 minus 1 would be 2, and then take another 3/4, that would be 1.25 from here to here. So let's do that, and then go to finish sketch. And extrude 1.25. Again, you can double check that calculation, hopefully it's correct. And now we have this. I will select as a new work plane. This would becomes my new work plane, and that would be new sketch on create, make a new sketch on this plane here. For this, I will create a circle, making this exactly the midpoint to be a center, snap into the corner to be the diameter size. So that should work. I don't have to trim that because I have enough piece, and it's going to merge here, so I don't have to even trim that. So we can go to finish that. It's fully constrained, and make sure that it's finish a sketch and extrude directions has to change. And when you do that, it switches to the cut mode. So make sure that you have not selected the cut. Go back to the join. And the size is 1 inch, which is already shows from the last dimension, and accept that. Okay. Now the last thing left here is to add 2 holes. You could either use the circle and cut, or the best to use the hole feature. Let's go back to assignment sheet and see what the size is. There are 3 inches diameter for the large one and 1 inch for small one. Select the hole feature and set this one to 1 inch, and select the face that you want the hole to be on that face, and select the concentric by pointing to outside arc. So these have common centers, and we will do okay this. Come back to repeat for another hole on this side. This is 3 inches. That's 3 inches. And select the face that you want to be hole on that, and don't forget the concentric as well. And this is the default setting, the simple hole, and goes all the way through all, and set the diameter. And that completes your drawing. Add the annotation information, and you have completed the assignment. And don't forget to save your work. Click the save button and give the title as a name. So we'll say save, and then type, in this case, tube hanger. Tube hanger. Okay, that concludes our project, tube hanger project, and see you on the next video.